Once upon a time, in a village called Gidankwano, lived a girl named Farida. Farida was a pretty young lady, and she was the only daughter of her parents. She had two brothers, Usman and Danladi. In those days, women were not trained in school or allowed to even go to school. It is believed that the place of a woman is at home. It is also said that the only training a woman needs is how to take care of the home front and prepare to be a wife and a mother. So Farida wasn't allowed to go to school like her brothers. But Farida was really ambitious. She wanted more outside the walls of their little village. She wanted to go to school too like her brothers and become a nurse in future. But her father would never hear of it. She admired the nurses that came from the city to their village in the health center to assist the villagers and treat them from time to time. She admires how clean and smart they looked in their crisp white nurse uniform, and she dreamt that one day she would be in that uniform. But how would this be when her father has refused to train her in school or even let her train herself? Each day, when Farida is sent to the market to sell her mother's special kunu, she sneaks to the health center to watch the nurses and how they work. One day, when Farida went to sell her mother's kunu, while on her way, she decided to stop by at the clinic for a while. When she got there was an emergency. A pregnant woman was in labor, and the nurses were trying to help her deliver the baby. Because the nurses knew her already, they allowed her to hang around and watch. Farida got carried away as she watched them. She totally forgot about her mother's kunu. By the time she realized, it was already late. La, Mama is going to kill me, she shouted with her hands on her head. What will I tell her? I am in big trouble, she started to cry. She hurriedly carried the bowl of kunu on her head and rushed to the market. But she couldn't sell much because it wasn't chilled anymore, and most people that would normally buy it had already left the market or had eaten something else already. Farida was in panic mode because she was in big trouble, she knew. Meanwhile, unknown to her, Mama Adiza, one of their nosy neighbors, saw her in the health center on her way to the market, and she already informed her mother. Knock, knock. Mama Usman, Inakwana. Mama Hadiza greeted at the door. Farida's mom came out. Oh, Mama Hadiza, welcome. How is the family? She asked. We are doing fine. What happened? I didn't see Farida at the market today. I thought you made kunu for sale today. Yes, of course. I made kunu and Farida took it to the market this morning. Ha! I doubt though, because on my way to the market this morning, I saw Farida at the health center. I was even wondering if all is well, because I hear she has been frequenting the health center lately. Ha! Health center? I sent Farida to the market since morning. In fact, she should be back by now. What will she be looking for at the health center? This girl will not kill me, Farida's mom said. Well, I was just wondering, so I thought to inform you, just to be sure. Okay, let me check on my animals, she said and left. Farida's mom stood at the door wondering and hoping that Farida has a good explanation when she gets back. When it was getting too late, Farida knew that she couldn't sell the rest of the kunu because it was fermenting already. Kunu is best taken chilled and fresh. She started walking home in tears. What would she tell her mom now? She was so scared. By the time she got home, her father was already back from the farm. Worst case for her. On sighting her mother rushed at her. Where are you coming from, Farida? Is this the normal time you come back from selling? When her mother looked into the rubber, she screamed, La ilaha illallah. Farida, you didn't sell anything. How manage? What happened? You better speak now before I call your father. Speak, she shouted. Mama, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I was passing by the health center and they brought in a pregnant woman. And I stopped to watch and I didn't know when time passed by. I'm so sorry, Farida said in tears. Hi! This girl has killed me, her mother said, yelling. My merchandise gone because of your stupidity, she said, crying and shouting. Her husband rushed out. What is going on here? Why the shouting and crying? Alhaji said. Alhaji, Farida has finished me. She carried my kunu and branched at the health clinic. Now she didn't sell anything. I sold 2, Mama, Farida said. Will you shut up? You sold 2 out of 30 bottles. What is that supposed to do for me? You have wasted 28 bottles, Farida. It's already fermenting. Alhaji, take a look. She took out one and showed it to her husband. Where did you go? And besides, what were you looking for at the clinic? Haven't I warned you about going there? He screamed at her. Her father was a stern man, so he beat her and punished her greatly, that her mother even started to beg on her behalf. Farida cried to bed that night without food, but when she woke up the next morning, she knew that no matter the punishments and beatings, it would never change her desire to be a nurse someday. Her father forbade her from ever going close to the clinic, except being sent by him or her mother. So for a few days, Farida didn't stop by at the clinic. She went straight to the market, sold her wares and went straight home. After a while, Farida couldn't resist the temptation of going to the health center. That was what made her absolutely happy. During her free time, she goes to the health center and helps out the nurse with menial jobs like fetching water, cleaning and running other errands without her parents' knowledge. As days turned into weeks, one day, Farida pleaded with her mom that she wanted to go visit her friend Halima, and her mother permitted her to go. Meanwhile, Farida ran all the way to the clinic. While she was gone, Halima came to visit her at home. Halima, what are you doing here? Where is your friend? I thought she said she was coming to your house. Oh, Mama, I haven't seen Farida in a long while. That's why I came. Halima said. What do you mean? Every day after her chores or going to the market, Farida says she's going to visit with you as she weren't feeling well. Oh, okay, yes, that's true. I forgot. Halima said, trying to cover up for Farida. Farida's mom stood looking at Halima in disbelief. She didn't believe her. Something was definitely wrong, and she could swear that Farida has been lying to her. Okay, Mama, let me rush back home. Farida must be back from the errand my mom sent her, she said, and left hurriedly. She didn't know where to look for Farida, as she hadn't seen her in a while, so she didn't really know where to find her to give her heads up. While Farida was at the clinic, she got information from one of the nurses about a nursing school scholarship. It was a fully funded scholarship for young girls to study nursing, sponsored by the government. The government were beginning to understand that it is also important to train the girl child too, and not just the boy child. But Farida knew that her father was a staunch traditionalist and a stern man. He would never allow her go to school, not to talk of outside of their village. Being at the clinic at that moment was even a big risk for her. She got up to leave. Farida did not call that to her. Won't you take the form home and fill it, and also get your parents' consent? I'm sure this is what you want. I have seen your dedication and passion for this job. Your type is really rare to find in this nursing profession. Farida sighed. I wish I could, Nurse Titi, but I can't. My father will kill me if he hears me say anything about school. He says my place is in the kitchen, and I should get groomed to be married and raise fine sons that will rule the world. So no matter how much I want to, I can't. Let me just go home and not waste a slot. Besides, have you forgotten that I have no form of formal education at all? Farida said with a big sigh and walked away. The nurse felt so bad for her, and she decided to keep the form for Farida, just in case. When Farida got home that evening, all hell was let loose on her because her mother had already been waiting for her since Halima came and left. Welcome back, Hajia. Sanu, where are you coming from? Her mother asked. But Mama, I told you that I want to visit Halima. She was very sick, Farida said in fear. Interesting. So it's Halima you went to see? The same Halima that came here looking for you, Farida. Farida began to stutter because obviously she had been caught. You cannot talk again. Answer me quietly before your father hears us, and you know what will happen to you this night. I went to the clinic, Farida said. The clinic again? What is your problem, this girl? Farida, do you want to kill me? Do you want your father to cut off your legs before you listen? But Mama, Why? Why should my life be determined because I am a girl? Why can't I have ambitions because I am a girl? My brothers are allowed to go to school, walk in, go and come whenever they please. But I can't because I am a girl. That is totally unfair, Mama. I want more out of life, much more than getting married and bearing children, just like you. I want to be a nurse. Farida, listen to me. This is what our life is, and I am content. I am content to be married to your father, and I have you and your brothers. My life is complete, and it should be the same for you too. Well, Mama, I'm not content. I want more out of life. I want to be a nurse. Please help me and support me. Enough of this, Farida. Don't let your father meet you here. Go inside now and find something to do. After a few days, Farida went back to the clinic. She made up her mind to fight for her destiny, regardless of whatever happens to her. She took the form home that day secretly and hid it somewhere in her bed. While she was making dinner with her mother, her brother saw the form and showed it to their father. Her father stormed out in rage, screaming her name. So you have been going to that clinic even when I warned you not to go there again. You want to go to nursing school. Are you deaf? What is your problem? How many times will I tell you that the place of a woman is in the house? They'll train you on how to be married and raise fine children. What are you looking for in a nursing school? But Baba, I deserve to have a life aside marriage and bearing children. I want to be a nurse. It gives me joy. And yes, I want to apply for the scholarship. While she was still speaking, her father landed her a dirty slap and tore up the paper, while she screamed her lungs out. I know what to do. Dan Kwambo has been asking to marry you for a while now. I will go ahead and collect the dowry before you bring disgrace to me. Haja, go ahead and prepare everything we need, he said and walked out. No, Baba, Dan Kwambo is your age mate. This is not fair. How can you marry your only daughter to a man even older than you are? She sat on the floor screaming and crying. Farida cried herself to sleep that night. And the next morning, she couldn't go out because her father gave stern warnings that she shouldn't step out of the house for any reason. The nurses at the clinic were so worried as they haven't seen her in a while, and the scholarship application was almost close to the closing date. After a few days, Farida snuck out of the house straight to the clinic. She begged the nurses for another form. She filled it up immediately and even forged her father's signature in the consent form. She did all that and ran back home. She almost got caught by her father. She really needed to do something fast before her father marries her off to Dan Kwambo. As days turned into weeks, finally, the scholarship list was out and Farida made it. She was so filled with joy and she celebrated with the nurses. But she couldn't show her excitement, lest her parents find out that she has been sneaking out to the clinic. Farida made up her mind to run away. She'd rather go to the city and study to become a nurse, rather than stay here and get married to Dan Kwambo. As weeks turned into months, while she was making plans to leave with one of the nurses to the city the next day, her mom came into her room. Farida jumped in fear. Sit down, my child. You see, what an elder sees sitting down, even if you climb the tallest mountain, you can never see it. I know everything, Farida. I am your mother. I know about the scholarship too. Farida opens her mouth in shock. Don't be surprised. I am your mother and I know you. I see all your movements and sneaking around, and I see the passion you have for this thing too. I want the best for you, my child, and Dan Kwambo is definitely not one of them. You know how your father is. If you stay, you'll be married to Dan Kwambo in 4 weeks. So I support you. Take this. She placed a small wad of cash and coins on her hand. When you go to the city, use it and take care of yourself for the time being. I spoke to the nurse and she assured me that you girls are in safe hands. Please don't forget home. I'm letting you go with fear because I don't know what lays ahead. But your strong will and Allah will always guide you. Farida hugged her mother tightly with tears in her eyes. Very early the next morning, Farida's mom walked her out to the clinic where she would meet the others. They both hugged each other in tears, and her mother walked back home crying seriously before her husband notices her absence. When day dawned, Farida's father was calling out to her, but there was no response. "Where is this girl?" "Hajia, did you send her on an errand?" he asked. "No, I didn't. This girl is trying me, after all the warning I gave her. In fact, Dankwambo is coming with his people this weekend. The earlier, the better." Her mother pretended to look for Farida. She was even crying and wailing when they hadn't found her during nightfall. As days turned into weeks, her parents continued looking for her, searching around the whole town. Meanwhile, her mom knew exactly where she was, but she pretended not to, just so that Farida could fulfill her dreams. As time went on, and as weeks turned into months, and months into years, Farida was doing absolutely well. She was bright and smart, and she was loved by all her teachers. 5 years later, Farida became a certified nurse. Her dream finally came true. But one thing was missing: her family. She hadn't seen her family, especially her mom, in over 6 years. How would they be now, she wondered. Meanwhile, 3 years after Farida left, her father fell terribly ill and was bedridden. His sons went off to do their own business and started their own families, facing their wives and children. So it was just his wife nursing him since he fell ill. One day, while he was lying on the bed, his wife had gone to the market. Someone in a nurse uniform walked into the room. He was trying to make out who it was, but it wasn't clear. As she drew closer, she knelt in front of him. "Baba, it's me, Farida." Her father was in total shock. He thought his Farida was long dead after years of searching for her fruitlessly. He couldn't speak, but tears flowed out of his eyes freely. While they were there, her mother walked in with her wares on her head. She was in total shock when she saw her daughter. She threw away the basket from her head and ran to hug her child. "Farida, is this really you? Oh my God, I thought something bad had happened to you." She hugged her so tightly, almost draining her blood. They caught up on so many things and all the happenings and how her father's ailment started. From then on, Farida took over caring for her father and nursing him back to good health. Few months later, her father began to regain his strength and health back because Farida was an amazing nurse. One day, while they sat down to a good dinner of tuwo shinkafa and kuka, and special kunu made by her mom to celebrate her husband's health and Farida's return, her father began to ask for her forgiveness. "My daughter Farida, please forgive me. Who would have thought that it would be my daughter that would sit down and nurse me back to good health? I trained your brothers with my hard-earned money, but they are all both living their own lives with their family. The one I refused to train is now the one taking good care of me. Thanks be to Allah that you didn't quit or give in to marrying Dankwambo. Maybe I would have been dead and buried by now. Thank you to my wife," he said, turning to her mother, "for supporting her when you did, no matter the risks involved. Thank you for coming back home and not hating your family for the past mistakes. I bless you today and you excel in everything that you do. You'll be the best nurse in the whole wide world and around these parts. Your own children will take care of you too, inshallah." They all chorused, "Ameen." This story highlights the trials of the girl child a long time ago. It was believed that the place of a girl is in the kitchen, and she should get married eventually and bear fine children that will rule the world, especially boys. But over time, this stereotype has been broken, and women are doing great things and holding great positions in different parts of the country and even all over the world. I hope this story teaches us not to give up on our dreams. If you have any dream, your dreams are valid. You just need to fight for it. Stand firm and strong, and you definitely achieve your dreams, just like Farida did. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this story about Farida. Please drop your thoughts in the comments, like and share, and please subscribe to us if you haven't. Alright, see you in my next one. Bye.